Okay, welcome to In Progress. It's our weekly roundtable discussion of the political stories, issues, and ideas that are top of mind for progressive folks all across the Lone Star State this week. My name is Chris Mosier. I'm the communications director here at Progress, Texas, and many of you are hearing In Progress for the very first time on the radio in Houston. We're very, very proud to be doing our very first show today in our brand new time slot on KPFT FM 90.1. We'll be coming to you right here this time every Friday morning at 10 a.m. On a weekly basis moving forward. About Progress, Texas, we're a statewide nonprofit rapid response media organization promoting progressive messages and actions. We operate a major digital network, including social media, podcasts, and legacy media as well, reaching millions of people across Texas. In Progress is also heard on Sundays here on KPFT HD2 every Sunday morning at 11 a.m. This week we have in the round table here our executive director, Kathleen Thompson. Hi, KT.
Hey, folks.
We also have our advocacy and development coordinator, Tatum Owens, in the house. Hi, Tatum.
Hello. They're not tired of me yet. Welcome back.
Heck no. And a late breaking guest this week for a quick check-in. We're proud at Progress Texas to have close relationships with a broad variety of elected officials from the federal level to the state level to the municipal level all across Texas. And we're joined today by Austin State Representative Vikki Goodwin for a timely update. As the news of the Trump administration's announcement on Thursday that they're officially drawing down the occupation of Minneapolis that they've conducted with ICE. We just heard that yesterday on Thursday. Rep. Goodwin, we're so glad to have you with us again.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so just to recap a bit on what Chris has just shared, Operation Metro Surge, which we've all been privy to from the national media outlets to your social media on your phone, there have been 3,000 ICE agents present in the Minneapolis area, where prior to this Operation Metro Surge, there were around 150. So a massive, massive presence of militarized force. And the people got upset. The people protested, and we have seen a reaction from the Trump administration down, from the border czar announcing that they will be pulling back. And with that, we have Rep. Goodwin to share some news with us here today. Rep. Goodwin?
Thank you. I sent a request to the lieutenant governor and the speaker to pull together an emergency committee of bipartisan members of the legislature to look at the fact that our local law enforcement here in Texas has to cooperate with ICE at a time that we're seeing some really troubling trends with ICE. Obviously, the two deaths of Alex Preddy and Renee Good up in Minneapolis. But we're also seeing the fact that Liam was brought to a detention center here in Texas. We've seen other situations where ICE is breaking into homes without the warrants, no due process. So this interim committee would give us an opportunity to look at what ICE is doing and look at the requirement for Texas to cooperate. Should we be cooperating at a time when ICE seems to be going outside the bounds of law?
I think it's important for us to note that all of this is happening, what we've seen over the last several weeks in Minneapolis, which has just been horrific. All of this has been happening in the midst of what we might call a flooded zone. There is so much coming from the Trump administration. We have a lot to talk about, as the show goes on today. And I'm glad, Rep. Goodwin, that you brought up Liam Ramos, because a lot of people might be inclined to think that since he was released from the Dilley facility with some help from Congressman Joaquin Castro, that problem has resolved itself, and now it's time to focus somewhere else. And that is clearly not the case. Would you say that this drawdown in Minneapolis might possibly be designed to get people to look away from the generalized ICE problem, which we clearly have in all of our major cities and even, around the border and all across Texas, we have this ICE issue going on?
Well, I think it may have been due to all the public pressure and the fact that people just aren't going to put up with what has happened in Minneapolis. And so every day it seems like there's some new chaos being created by President Trump, and we can't take our eye off the ball. I do think public pressure makes a difference, and I think we have to shine a light on what's going on. And that's the point of the committee, to really dig into what's happening so that the people of Texas know what are we doing as Texans? What is our law enforcement doing to cooperate with ICE, and should we continue that?
Well, we definitely appreciate you staying on top of that. It's again, a topic that we must all keep top of mind, and regardless of what minor momentary reassurances we might be getting from the Trump administration, it is still a very, very serious problem.
That's right.
That extends across our entire country. We do have some other breaking news regarding you, Rep. Goodwin, actually just announced this week the board at Progress Texas has declared their endorsement for your run for Texas Lieutenant Governor. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And what can you tell us about your recent travels and adventures across Texas? You're putting a lot of miles on the car.
Absolutely. I am enjoying traveling across Texas. I've had interviews with all of the newspapers, and that's been great. So I just got the Houston Chronicle endorsement, recently got the Austin American Statesman and the San Antonio Express News endorsements. And of course, lots of questionnaires have been sent our way. I just truly think that we've got some momentum behind the campaign. There was also a University of Houston poll that was done recently showing that Dan Patrick versus Vikki Goodwin, only a few points difference. So
Wow.
we've got a little bit of work to do, but I'm very hopeful for 2026.
Rep. Goodwin, congratulations on your endorsement by our C4 board. I'll note that not every allied organization does make endorsements, and the Progress Texas board doesn't endorse in every race. So it's remarkable. And congratulations on behalf of the whole staff. You attended one of our holiday parties. You were a featured speaker at our holiday party, I should say, in Dallas. And we were speaking with you. We were speaking with Rep. Gina Hinojosa, who the board has also endorsed for governor. And I've been doing Texas politics since I was a little baby progressive. And I remember the Wendy Davis, Senator Vanderpue race. And I don't think that we've had two women who are such strong contenders for the top of the ticket. Of course, the Texas voters will decide who our nominees are in just a few short weeks. But would you say a few words about what that means to you as a mom, as a woman, as someone who's been paying attention for a long time about the way that Texas treats families and treats mothers? It is meaningful to me.
Yeah, I think it's incredible that we have two strong women at the top, potentially at the top of the ticket. I think it'll happen. But, I have served in the legislature with Representative Gina Hinojosa. She is such a strong supporter of our public schools, and she tells the story about how she got into this was because of her kids and the situation in their schools. The same for me. I've always had people in my family who were very supportive of public schools. My mom was a huge PTA mom and on the school board when I was young. And so, we put things first that will make a huge impact in people's lives. I also have a daughter-in-law who is pregnant right now. So, of course, what Texas has done with the total abortion ban is a big concern to me and, again, in my family. They don't live in Texas. And it's just really sad to think that, I don't want her to be in Texas while she's pregnant, because what if something were to happen?
Absolutely.
So one of my inspirations is Ann Richards, and I think that it is time for us to have another female governor and our first female lieutenant governor.
And would you share some of your policy priorities with our audience? They already know you to be a 4-term elected representative in the Texas House of Representatives, but some of your priorities for this campaign.
Yeah, the big overarching priority is to make Texas affordable, to address the affordability issue, whether it is housing or healthcare, higher education, childcare, so that people can go to work. There are so many things that people are feeling like life isn't affordable anymore. I hear from retirees who say we haven't had a cost of living adjustment in so many years. So really, everything I believe that I talk about touches affordability. We have to have a strong public education system because that's what leads to good paying jobs. That's what leads to people being able to solve the problems that we have. We need to make sure that we're funding our public schools well so that they can do what they need to do and not diverting our public dollars to private schools. So that's my number one issue. Number two is healthcare. In a prosperous state, we shouldn't have the highest rate of uninsured. We shouldn't have the highest rate of maternal mortality. So we've got to address our healthcare here in Texas, and I have some ideas about that. Also, housing affordability is a huge issue for me. With my background as a residential real estate broker, I want to make sure people have the opportunity to buy a home if that's what they want. And then water is a huge issue. And all around the state, as I've been talking to people, they agree this is something that really concerns them, particularly at a time when we see a lot of new data centers coming in and these corporations that are using massive amounts of water. We don't want the cost of the new infrastructure to go on homeowners and households. So affordability can be addressed by good policy, and that's what I look forward to doing when I am Lieutenant Governor.
I just want to hark back to the Great Depression of all things. A lot of people are unaware that the Great Depression also saw an increased rise in anti-immigrant sentiments against Mexican immigrants. And so I think you're absolutely right that affordability is at the crux of all of these different issues coming together, because when people are told, oh, other people are taking your jobs, oh, the reason that you're not making a living is because of this scapegoated community, which we saw time and time again here in America. And now we've seen Trump say this is going to be the largest mass deportation in American history. It's not. That was 1954 with 1 million Mexican immigrants. And so I just want to say thank you so much for coming and joining us today and pointing to that main priority that impacts all of these other issues for your campaign and so many others.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on Progress Texas. Y'all do great work.
Appreciate it. Real quick before you go, Rep. Goodwin, do you have handy places or times where people might intercept you out on the campaign trail over the next few days?
Yes. Well, let's see. I'm in Houston now, but I will be back in Austin and then down to San Antonio. I'm actually going to do a block walk with one of our Texas House candidates, Christian Carranza. I'm very excited about her campaign, so I'll be down in San Antonio Saturday. Beyond that, I would have to look at my calendar.
Right. As do we all. We actually have a Christian on our schedule of many candidates that we have set up to talk to soon. So we're looking forward to that as well. Austin State Rep. Vikki Goodwin, we know you're busy. We'll let you go. Thanks so much for the update and keep us up to speed on what's happening.
Take
care.
Thank you.
So she's a treat. And, I've known Rep. Goodwin for a long time. And I feel like I have gotten to know her even a lot better, seeing her more frequently, while she's doing her thing out there.
You're absolutely right, because she is ever present, omnipresent. I feel like anytime I go to an event, I live here in Austin, which is, of course, where her constituency lies. And it feels like she is always out and about. I mean, that's my favorite form of representation, is knowing that the people who are representing me, she's not my representative. That's Greg. Oh, sorry. That's my congressman. Anyhow.
So many to keep track of.
Yeah, there's a lot of people.
Tatum, who are your members of the Texas legislature?
Oh my goodness. I actually did have to look up again. Sorry, that's just me talking. I did have to look up again who mine is. And now I don't remember who my
Tatum recently moved. She gets a pass.
I do, yeah.
From Bryan to Austin.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so let's dive into what's been going on lately. And, really it's more of what I would classify as, like I was talking about before, we're existing in a flooded zone. And the crazier the stuff that comes down from the Trump administration, the less likely we are to be thinking about the Epstein files is really where I'm at. And this last salvo of craziness is this announcement from the Trump administration that they have decided to revoke a scientific finding that long has been the central basis for U.S. action to regulate greenhouse gas emissions and fight climate change. This is the most aggressive move by Donald Trump to roll back climate regulations that we have seen yet. This rule was finalized in 2009, 17 years ago, by the EPA. That established, it's called the endangerment finding, which, is very much spells it out. It established the scientific, reality that people who respect science and respect the environment have come to hold as fact. And that is that carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases do indeed endanger public health and welfare. This is basically Donald Trump and his crew saying, we don't believe it, we're not accepting it, and we're going to let everybody do whatever they want at this point.
The good thing is that we all know that we can't believe a word from the Trump administration, and we have good people working in communications on a daily basis, like your friends here at Progress Texas, who will tell you the truth. And just because the president says that Tylenol is not safe for you to take, doesn't mean Tylenol is not safe for you to take. And just because the health secretary lets measles run rampant in America, it doesn't mean that's a good health public policy, just like this isn't a good climate policy. Mr. Rogers said, look to the helpers, look right to the journalists and the independent media to tell you the truth on a daily basis, while people who get paid to look the other way, look the other way.
Yeah, someone that I look to pretty consistently for climate updates, especially regarding major policy decisions like this that are going to harm so many people, is the Sierra Club, which of course has its own Texas chapter, the Lone Star chapter. And I got an email from them today that said, this is the headline, the biggest environmental rollback in history. He, being Trump, eliminated a rule called the endangerment filing, which requires the EPA to regulate climate pollution. Like, point, period, end of sentence. That sounds really bad. And looking further into the story, you can see, oh, okay, I took an AP environmental science class. I did learn that pollution equals bad, right? It's a very simple equation. And for one of the most synonymous names in our federal government to be addressing climate change as a whole, to be hobbled like this is extremely alarming to me. It makes sense that a lot of sources like the Sierra Club and so many other traditional media outlets and climate organizations are concerned about this, because you should be too. It's really worrisome, but we knew it was coming, is what I'm coming back to. It's just one of the other things that was outlined in Project 2025. So
right.
I think some Democrats are trying to put together a plan or a PAC or a committee of some sort, a group of people who are doing Project 2029, setting up for the aftermath of all this chaos.
Right. You know, I've come to regard MAGA as a bit of a death cult anyway. So from that sort of angle, this really doesn't surprise me at all. And you know, of course, all of this highlights how important, how crucial, how existential a midterm election year we're in the middle of here, with early voting in the primary actually coming up in just a few days, and we'll talk a bit more about that. Let's talk more Trump stupid while we're at it. Also, a big story this week was the big thing that went down in El Paso, which is still a little unclear as to exactly what happened. We all know the basics of the story, that the FAA, I guess this was late Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, announced a 10-day complete shutdown of the airspace all around El Paso, around the El Paso airport, the entire city, also a chunk of southern New Mexico included in this. The first thing I thought was, of course, this is the first time that we've seen this kind of a shutdown since 9/11 happened, which is way before Tatum's time for sure. Mm-hmm. I've learned since then that this actually is far beyond the scope of what happened at 9/11, because the 9/11 shutdown was about commercial airlines, because those had been weaponized in that terrorist attack.
Whoa.
This included medevac helicopters and police helicopters, and smaller aircraft that would not have really been included in a standard sort of shutdown. And also, those shutdowns I don't think lasted for 10 days, even after 9/11 happened. So this was completely unprecedented. Let's kick to you, Tatum. What's the theory about the El Paso shutdown do you like the best at this point?
Well, I'll just come in and say, first of all, that I was born several months before 9/11. So,
is that right?
So there's that. So my home videos actually are in the aftermath of 9/11 with flight.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. I came across this story on Twitter. That was how I found out. And I had mutuals in El Paso saying, what is going on? This is absurd. And then I was reading this, let's be clear, in the aftermath of it being pulled. So I was finding out that this major alert was put out and then repealed quickly. Right. And so, I mean, my mind went into conspiracy mode, I'm not going to lie, because it's alarming being so close to so many military bases here in Texas. I grew up in San Antonio, so that was always a concern for us. Like, if something happens with foreign relations, then like we're a place that could be targeted. And so when I hear that El Paso is in shutdown and flights are being like suspended, that is immediately where my mind went. But I mean, scary. Chris, can you speak to a little bit further?
Yeah, I mean, and I honestly, I hadn't even thought about that too much, Tatum, to be completely honest with you, what it must have been like to be a resident of El Paso, to suddenly hear that there's been a complete lockdown of airspace over your city with no explanation.
And the county judge had no idea. I get the El Paso County news releases, and the county judge, which of course, Texans, if you're learning about your government now, good for you. The county judge is not a judge in a courtroom having a hearing with attorneys. The county judge is the executive of the county. Right. Had no idea and expressed dismay at the chaos and confusion that is, of course, entirely preventable when government agencies work together and communicate with each other.
which Chris, of course, pointed out on the Daily Dispatch on Thursday, talking about this confusion between so many different parties involved. Chris, would you paint a picture of what that included?
The nuts and bolts of it are just a breakdown of communication between what I will insist on continuing to call the Department of Defense, which of course is now known as the Department of War, under the aforementioned Trump folly that we're exploring today, and the FAA, which still has the same initials as it always had. Apparently, these two agencies have not been playing nice, have not been talking to each other very well. FAA, of course, clearly in charge of all of our safety as we're flying on commercial airplanes. It's one of the top priorities of our government, top safety priorities that we have, is keeping that line of travel and commerce safe and secure. At the same time, nearby at Fort Bliss, which incidentally is where one of the more notorious ICE detention centers is happening right now, but let's not sidetrack into that. They apparently are testing lasers. They apparently are testing high-powered lasers that in that application are designed to intercept what they worry about in terms of drones coming over the Mexican border, ostensibly, theoretically, by their story, piloted by Mexican drug cartels. And so, of course, now the border is a factor here, some degree of xenophobia, some degree of paranoia about what's coming across the border or what's not. I did notice that PBS and the Texas Tribune, as of Thursday morning, were not mentioning this balloon story. Have you guys heard about the balloon story?
I did.
Yes.
Kathleen, tell the balloon story for us, if you would.
There was an internet rumor, but also who knows, it could possibly be the real story because of the way that facts are not clear coming from our different government agencies, that there was a party balloon that may have been seen as part of a drug cartel. So they wanted to shoot it out of the sky, which of course, if you're Chris's age and my age, you know the song 99 Red Balloons.
Oh, yeah.
And,
oh, wow.
And that this is how basically Armageddon starts, with people who don't know what they're doing in control of some powerful weaponry and confusion and chaos. And that's a 80s throwback for everybody. But I wanted to just call out, and Chris did mention this in the Daily Dispatch, one of our Progress Texas Institute board members is a commercial aviation captain.
Right.
And he gave us a great quote that included, in part, chaos might be well and good for a reality TV show, but it doesn't belong in our skies.
Absolutely.
And I couldn't say it any better than John Cotter.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I must take my hat off to that enormously awesome Gen X pop culture reference back to Nena and 99 Luftballons. Tatum, I don't know if you know this, there is an English version and a German version of that song out there that you should go out and check out.
I'm aware. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
So I have renewed hope in the younger kids now that I know that Tatum knows 99 Luftballons.
You forget I was raised by a Gen X woman, so it is a little bit fair to assume that she would subject me to her music taste. And I say subject.
That's why you're so cool. Thank you, Mom. So let's continue here. And this is a sad story, but it also speaks to the reality of life in Texas under Republican rule. I've never seen Dawson's Creek. I've never seen the show. I'm not super familiar with the work of James Van Der Beek. Whichever the two of you decide which of you is more familiar with James's work, and you guys give us a little extrapolation.
Sure. I used to watch Dawson's Creek during my breaks at the broadcast news TV station where I worked nights, and got to know Dawson and Pacey and the gang. And that was my first introduction to James Van Der Beek. But he started his television career young and was coming into our homes at a young age and has been in our homes for decades now. And when I heard the news that he passed away, I'm shocked. He's my age.
Yeah.
And I know he's a parent. I didn't know that he had so many children, but the idea of leaving 6 children behind and a wife, and I knew that he had long ago moved to Texas and had seen memories coming in online about people bumping into him at the grocery store and how kind he was. And he always had a little blondie in tow, really sweet and kind to the public. He was a cancer fighter, and he lost the fight with cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And despite the fact that he is a internationally known television star, went into medical debt, which is a uniquely American phenomenon, and it's a public policy choice.
That's right.
We have the world's most expensive healthcare, and we have not the best health outcomes for it. The ROI is sad, and it's a choice by the people that we elect, both at the Texas legislature and then, of course, at our federal level. President Barack Obama spent his political capital in 2008 with the Affordable Care Act that Republicans tried 40 plus times to overturn. And I'm still hearing from our current administration that there are concepts of a plan to make it better. But James and his family fell into a coverage gap.
Yeah.
And he had to sell his memorabilia to help pay those medical bills. And it's just an American tragedy.
I think it is just so full of tragedy because it is a Texas story. Like, yes, he's a television star that a lot of people outside of this state knew, but so many people in this state are subjected to the same healthcare system that he is. And even he was put in a situation because of Texans' public policy decisions, because our legislators have put us in this position. Cancer is this ever-present villain for so many people listening, for my own family. And I guess I'll give a tangent. And I see at the same time, as the US has exited the WHO, that so many other countries are coming forward with maybe groundbreaking cancer discoveries, maybe cures to cure cancer, now that the US is out of the equation. And then you bring it back to Texas, and so many other people are subjected to medical debt, trying to figure out how to mortgage their homes, trying to figure out how to balance going to the doctor in the first place, trying to figure out, am I going to go to the ER? Am I going to go to the ER, or am I going to set up an appointment with a primary care physician? Do I even have one? Do I have insurance in the first place, which a lot of Texans don't. We are the most uninsured state in the nation.
That's right.
All to say, it sucks.
If I could say one more thing, and I think I've mentioned this on another episode of In Progress, or maybe it was a happy hour, but I just strongly recommend the film Sicko to our audiences. It's a documentary film by Michael Moore that preceded President Obama's win in the Affordable Care Act, but I just really feel like Texans should know about the before times, before the ACA, if they don't know, if they were too young, and they have only known the Affordable Care Act brought to you by President Barack Obama and the Democrats. For what the ACA could have been, it could have been so much stronger and covered so many more people, but it is what we have today. But people should know about the before times when Michael Moore documented somebody has an accident and they can't decide which finger they're going to save for their hand reconstructive surgery, and they're picking between fingers to have sewn back together. It's all a financial issue about people losing their homes and being bankrupted because someone that they love or themselves got sick, and you have no idea what kind of health care you're going to have. It's a lottery. People get sick, people get cancer, people get diabetes, and it shouldn't be something that you lose your family home or you're bankrupted because of that. And that was the before times. And that's what Texas and America can return to should the ACA finally be overturned.
It boils down to those policy decisions, and going back to Chris's sharing about the EPA's regulation being overturned. Now, known carcinogens are going to be not regulated by the regulator for the environment here in America. And so it's just a travesty. And as Kathleen said, stacked policy decisions on each other that put you in harm's way.
It's so easy, and I think a lot of Americans, even those who are paying attention to politics, including I'll admit this myself, as I said earlier, I hadn't thought too much about what it would be like to be in El Paso when suddenly airspace is shut down for no good reason. It's important for all of us to think about all of these policy decisions and how they boil down to our individual experiences. In our family, we have fairly recently lost a really close family friend to cancer. In a very similar sort of way, family left behind. We're in that position of trying to be as supportive as we possibly can. But I can't help but put myself in James Vanderbeek's shoes, knowing that the end is coming, being surrounded by family, and that's what we would all want is to
Right.
be enveloped in that love and that comfort, and go out peacefully. I think that's what anybody would definitely want. It is a complete travesty and a complete tragedy that so many Americans, when they're faced with those last final days, have got the worry of money hanging over their heads and the worry of their kids' futures and their wives' futures, especially someone who's a primary breadwinner in a family. That's got to be just a horrific experience. So we should all be thinking about that very closely. And those of us who live in Texas, this doesn't necessarily apply directly to James Vanderbeek's family necessarily. The medical debt that they've undergone, the way the system is inclined to extract profit before it thinks about people is absolutely all of our problem. But here in Texas, we want to remind you that we are one of very few remaining states that has not accepted the expansion of Medicaid coverage that's offered by the federal government, even to this day, under the Affordable Care Act. There are many other Republican-led states in the country that have accepted this. And what this basically would mean is there would be more people based on their income or their circumstances that would be able to have coverage under Medicaid, which, is clearly, even in a flawed system, is better than nothing. So this is something to think about once again as we roll through this, highly important midterm election year. What happens at the ballot is super important, and it's the only way that we really have to try to edge our way towards the type of change that we'd like to see. It just so happens that luckily and serendipitously, the very first day that we can all go out and vote early in the primary is also on Fat Tuesday. So to me, that's a perfect combination. Get out there and cast your vote on the very first day, and then go, do a little bit of Fat Tuesday celebration with some etouffee and some boudin balls and some ice cold beer, whatever you might want to do. Kathleen, kick it to you. Why is it important for people to go out and vote early? Why is that important?
Bank that vote. Bank that vote in case, for you, dear listener, your kid gets sick, you have car trouble, you have a work issue come up. Bank that vote. But also for the candidates that you care about, that you plan on voting for, every day that you don't vote, they're still trying to reach you. They're still spending resources to try to call you, to door knock you, to mail you, to digital ad you. So by you holding out, you're asking your candidate to spend more time chasing you or your household, instead of going on to that next person that you want them to be contacting. So it's a win for you, and it's a win for the candidate of your choice for you to get that vote in early.
So if you don't want the phone bankers calling you, go vote early. It's basically how that works.
That's great. That's a way to shut them up.
Many a good phone bank.
It is.
Love doing it. But yeah, after 5 p.m., sometimes you want to go do your thing. So you can go show up to the polls. As I prepared to get my early voting plan together, always a helpful idea to actually write out that plan and figure out what friends you're going to bring. Also make sure that everything's in order. That registration deadline has passed, but never a bad idea to double check, especially if you live in a friendly county to voter registration. Voting plan, though, what I do is I check out govotexas.org. It's actually a project we use here at Progress Texas, and I'm really proud of it because we've been able to expand it to a couple of different languages. That's English, Spanish, Vietnamese, Chinese Mandarin, and Hindi, some of the most spoken languages here in Texas, and languages that the Texas Secretary of State has continued to deprive their citizens of. So I use that. It is a helpful tool if you want to check it out as well. And yeah, I think early voting, extremely important to do. And also, why wait on election day? There's already so much attention on the U.S. Senate race and so many other down ballot races already. So give yourself the opportunity to not have to wait in the line.
Right. I love voting. Voting is one of my favorite things to do. I really
I can't
enjoy
wait
it.
to vote.
I'm totally down to vote. I would vote more than once if I could. Clearly, I can't.
Uh-oh.
I will not vote more than once. Don't worry.
Take that enthusiasm about the more votes and turn that into your neighbors. I'm so proud of my senior citizen mother who voted for Taylor Remmett in the special election for Senate District 9.
It's a big story.
She asked me how to navigate the Tarrant County Elections Department website. Come on, Tarrant County Elections. And I helped her find the closest voting locations to her and showed her how to help a neighbor check their voter registration status. And she went and knocked on doors to all of her little senior citizen neighbors
Sweet.
and made sure that they were going to vote and they knew where to go to vote. Way to go, Mom. I know you're listening.
It's an active community.
Happy birthday, Mom. My mother's
Very nice.
birthday is next week. So
Right
happy
on.
birthday, Dr. Thompson.
So yeah, early voting, don't forget, starts on Tuesday the 17th. Again, that's Fat Tuesday. Go make the most of it. Guys, thanks so much for another great talk. Advocacy and Development Coordinator Tatum Owens.
Thank you.
And Executive Director Kathleen Thompson.
Bye, y'all. Happy birthday, Mom.
Happy birthday, Mom. Progress Texas is a statewide, nonprofit rapid response media organization promoting progressive messages and actions. While campaigns come and go, we're the permanent home for progressive media and action in the Lone Star State. In Progress also airs, as you may have noticed, on KPFT Radio in Houston, 90.1 FM every Friday morning at 10 and 90.1 FM HD2 every Sunday morning at 11 a.m. More information on the radio station can be found at kpft.org, and more information on us is available at progresstexas.org.